And we are rolling on the 19th day of April 2016 here at UCLA, where it's another beautiful sunny day. The sunshine is shining, and we're about to hear from Brittany, who's going to share with us a film that really moved her.
So I remember the first time I went to the movie theaters, and I can honestly say I used to be that girl that could say, you could find me at the movie theaters anytime, like almost always. I used to be able to say that. And today, the movie tickets are no longer $7.15. So today I'm going to show you, or share with you a film that really moved me. It was the movie that I first seen in the theaters. It made me laugh. It made me feel loved, and it motivated me. So Stephen Holden from the New York Times suggests that Finding Nemo doesn't pretend that its undersea environment is an alternative or happier alternative to the world above. And I agree with this because Finding Nemo doesn't show us unrealistic situations. I mean, I've been lost before, I'm sure all of us have. So it deals with themes of listening to your parents, accepting help from others, and being persistent, which many of us can relate to. So the first way this movie moved me was that it made me laugh. And then the incident in the movie where it made me laugh was when Nemo disobeyed his dad Marlin's rules. He touched the butt. And well, this incident in the movie reminded me of the time where I used to live behind my elementary school. And on Fridays in the grass area right behind my house, we had PE, and I showed my friends where I live by pointing at the fence there of my backyard. Well, they tempted me to touch the butt, and this was by jumping over the fence and coming back over, which I did, and literally I did elementary school for 15 seconds. And well, I wanted to show them that I was cool, similarly like Nemo when he touched the butt in front of his friends. Well, I laugh at this experience now because touching the butt isn't all that great. So now I'm going to tell you about an instance in the movie where it made me feel loved. And the incident in the movie where it made me feel loved was when Marlin finally found Nemo after searching across the whole entire ocean. And this moment, or this incident in the movie, or the reason why it made me feel loved, was it reminded me of the time where my sister felt like she almost lost me. So I was very punctual back in the days, in the elementary days, not so much anymore. But I would get home from school as I walked, since it was so close, every day at the same time, 3:20. And just one day I went to my friend Dina's house because she wanted to show me her cool new swing set. And I was a lot less responsible than I am today. So after 5 hours, I casually walk home, and so does my sister. And my sister's there after coming from a million other doors, knocking at a million other doors, looking for me. And boy, was she angry. And when I tell her this story, she still is. And so this reminded me of the time where Marlin never gave up and searched for Nemo. And similarly, my sister never gave up. And this is why I feel so loved. So now I'm going to tell you about the part in the film where it motivated me. And the incident in the film where I felt motivated was when Dory tells Marlin, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. So the reason why it made me feel motivated was because it reminded me of a time where I failed in a practical test, or the practical test for my internship at the hospital. And after I had spent 30 hours of training for the written and the practical test, I got the score sheet and I read the word fail. And that motivated me, or just like Dory and Marlin were persistent in finding Nemo. I kept swimming after 3 months with an additional 30 hours of training, and I got the next score sheet that said pass. And because I kept swimming, this this incident in the movie made me realize how motivated I was to keep going and never give up. So, in summary, I've showed you 3 ways this film moved me. It made me laugh, it made me feel loved, and it motivated me. There should be no doubt in this room that this movie, Finding Nemo, really captured me. Now, I think I have enough money in my pocket today for today's movie tickets prices. So can anyone guess where I'll be when the movie Finding Dory releases?
Thank you. 4:59. Let's start over here today.
I'm Anushka.
Hi, Anushka.
I think you did a really great job. It was funny and you had everyone engaged, and I thought we could tell that there was some personal motives with your sister and stuff, and that you felt that, so that would be nice.
Yeah. Thank you, Anushka. Improvement.
Hi, I'm Paola.
Hi,
I really liked
Paola.
your speech. I don't think that I saw many things that were wrong with it. I really enjoyed it. And if anything, maybe when we were walking to the side, you may have turned just a little bit from
Okay. Yeah, and stay in the green box. I had to back up on you, but that's okay. Yeah, this was a good speech, and thank you for being the first and not freaking out and being called first. You started with a story, sort of a walk down memory lane, nostalgia of $7.50. I remember when it was a quarter, so how about that one? And you talked about laughed, loved, and motivated you, so you stressed those with your voice, so we knew right where you were going. You gave us a good roadmap. Your significant statement, you knew your quote from the New York Times, and most importantly, you agreed with it. Remember, you take a position on the quote you state. You could agree or disagree with the quote you put in your significant statement. On the main body, laugh. It's a funny expression. He touched the butt. And it sounds funny, and you related it to you touching the butt and jumping over the elementary school fence, and I could feel you laughing and reliving the humor and funniness of that experience. So, and in you re-feeling it, we felt it too, and so that worked pretty well. Feel it more and experience it more and talk about it more, but that was well done. On your second emotion, you said you felt loved. And here you went to Dina's house instead of coming home promptly at 3:20 and stayed for 5 hours. And your sister was frantic since she was your babysitter. And she when she finally saw you, she wasn't that amused, but you were touched by her concern and you felt her love. I would have expanded a little bit more on the love that you felt there so we could feel it too, and talk about a little bit more what you felt at that moment, okay? On the third reason that you, third way that you felt, it was motivated. And this is kind of a tricky emotion, but nonetheless, you communicated it well. You shared with us that you failed a test at the hospital, and it freaked you out, but you used the metaphor and the lines from the movie, just keep it swimming, and or to use, Steve Jobs' metaphor, when you get hit in the head with a brick, you just keep it going, right? You just get up and keep it going. And that's what you did, and you said 3 months later you gave us a happy ending to your story. You passed it, and so that was good. A little bit more wording on, and to to talk about that moment when you said, when I failed, I could have decided to say, okay, maybe hospital work's not for me. Maybe I'll go into auto shop or welding or something else, but no, I decided, hell with it, I was going to pass this damn test, and so I was motivated, see? So come to us with that feeling a little bit more. Your summary was good, your conclusion was good, and your tieback was excellent. Your CANI, and CANI, C-A-N-E-I, stands for Constant and Never-Ending Improvement. It's an acronym I made up. You wanted to have voice, variability, walk, 2-3 points, and make a tieback to your introduction. How did it go?
I think I did all of those 3.
Okay.
Just based on the last speech, I didn't walk 3 times because I didn't think we were taught at that time. So
Right.
I didn't know if we could move. This time I did.
Yes.
For the first time. And last time I was more monotone, I felt, not myself, because I was very nervous. So
Okay.
I tried to just break
Good.
away from that.
Good. I would say even more emphatic next time, a little bit more energy if you can give it. Would be good. You came out in the nick of time, 4:59. You have 5:15. I give everybody 5:15, and then I deduct 5 points. So you were just right in time, and that was excellent. So good job. Thank you. Okay. Let's go to Anushka.
Where you going? So
Thank
I
you.
didn't print out the film critic pages, but I have a bibliography at the back.
Okay, well, you can bring that in. Yeah, just the front page is fine.
Okay.
Just enough to show me you surfed
Yeah.
the deep
Okay.
internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good. She stands in the middle of the green box. Perfect. Don't come in front of that green line. Good. Let me get you in focus a little better. Yes, you're a little different height. Anushka stands before you, managing attention. Okay, he's writing or reading, making sure all computers are closed, telephones are away, everyone's looking up at you. You say to yourself and mean it, I respect my audience. Find friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi everyone, I'm Anushka.
Hi, Anushka.
So before I start, I have a quote. It is, "Birds of the same feather should flock together." I'm not sure a lot of you remember this quote, but I'm confident you know the movie that it comes from. It's from The Jungle Book. This is a movie that really moved me. It moved me in 3 ways. It made me feel empathy, it reassured me on what great friendship looks like, and it made me feel nostalgic. It's pretty critically acclaimed, and I'm referring to the 1967 one, not the one that came out this weekend. Back in the day, the Time and magazines like Life said that it was a bright, short, happy, blessedly uncultivated cartoon since Dumbo. And I agree with that because the movie was so warm for me to rewatch after more than 10 years. And I think different things resonated with me this time compared to when I watched it when I was a kid. And so I'm going to delve into a couple of those. So firstly, the movie made me feel empathetic because every time I saw Mowgli, so he was brought up by wolves, and then he identified with them, and then he was thrust into different animal groups because they said it's too dangerous for you to be amongst the wolves. And so every time I saw him go from one animal group to the next, so from wolves to elephants to bears, I felt a deeper connection with him, and that connection stems from the way that I was brought up. So I've lived in 5 countries so far, my parents kept moving around when we were kids, and I remember these distinct moments of my childhood when I would find a home and a connection to a place and kind of my own rhythm in a place. And then my parents would turn to us like in a couple of years and be like, okay, so we're going to be moving to Dubai or Istanbul next. And I remember just like Mowgli hating that, but then like Mowgli being able to adapt to that place every time I moved and finding a new rhythm. So that reminded me of that, and that was really nice. The second way that this movie moved me was that it reassured me of what great friendship is like. So Mowgli has Baloo and Bagheera, and you see them develop this great friendship throughout the film. But towards the end, they have a falling out, and Mowgli loses his faith and trust in friends. But I don't know if you remember this, in the final scene there's this battle off between Mowgli and Shere Khan, who's the tiger that's trying to kill them all. And Baloo and Bagheera come to rescue him. And it just kind of showed that no matter what happens between them, he still has these friends to fall back on that always have his back. And that reminded me of some really great friendships that I have. One in particular is my friend Stephanie. I've known her since we were 12 and went to the same school. And we were close when we were together, but we grew even closer now that we're apart. She's in Europe, I'm in the States, and we're miles away, but she's still someone that I could text and be like, do you have time to speak today? And she would make that time for me. So it just reminded me of that, and it reminded me of how important it is to have those people in your life. And then finally, this movie made me feel nostalgic for that childhood curiosity that we all used to have. So as I saw Mowgli, there's this particular scene where there's a herd of elephants going by, and Mowgli just joins them. He just like goes on all fours and sticks his nose up and pretends to be an elephant. And obviously the elephants know that he's not one of them, but to Mowgli he could be whatever he wanted to be. And I think I used to be like that as a kid, but I'm not like that anymore. There was this time when my parents first moved to Switzerland. There was this Swiss summer camp that I really wanted to go to. It was a rock climbing summer camp, and you needed to speak French, and I spoke like beginner to intermediate French, which was not good enough. But I convinced them, and I went, and I don't even know how I made friends because my communication was hand gestures and sounds and like combining different French words. But that was something that made me realize that I would never do this now. Like, I would never go completely out of my comfort zone. That's something that I was comfortable doing as a kid. So that made me nostalgic for that curiosity I used to have. And so finally, there should be no surprise in the room that this movie really moved me. And whether it was jumping from different cultures to strong friendships to having that childhood curiosity and being able to be adaptable, I think the movie proved to me that me and Mowgli are similar in the way that birds of the same feather do not have to flock together, because that was pretty much my life. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, yes,
Hi,
what's your name?
Jamie.
Hi, Jamie.
I really liked your speech. I really liked how everything was very deeply connected to your childhood, and how your whole speech had a unifying theme of nostalgia and all of that. And I really liked how the end of your speech connected to the beginning, but instead of repeating the same quote, you turned it on its head and had a contrasting quote.
Okay, yeah, that's good. You can do that kind of creativeness with your beginning quote. Just as long as your audience knows you've come the full circle, Jamie, that's all we're about. Doing that tie back so your audience knows we've come the full circle. We're ending. Yes, please. Improvement.
I'm Catherine.
Hi,
And,
Catherine.
I really liked your speech. I thought it was great. I thought it was organized really well. The one thing I would say is maybe vary your tone a little bit and emphasize, to me it was pretty obvious that you had the three main points, you felt the childhood nostalgia, all of that, but maybe emphasize it a little bit more in the very beginning, because I thought it was great.
Thank you.
Anushka. Okay, let's talk about your speech. First off, next time you submit an outline to me, have the Roman numerals,
All right,
1
yeah.
through 7, so you're not likely to forget any part because you left a couple of parts out. So that is a saving grace. So you started with birds of a feather flock together, or birds of a feather should flock together, and you then segued into the Jungle Book, but quickly told us that it was not the new one that just came out, but the old one. And you told us that your preview was that made you feel empathy, reassured about good friendships, and nostalgic. Like a little bit more emphasis with your voice on those three things, so our roadmap is a little bit more. We know the narrative is coming. On your SIG statement, you quoted time and life, and those all worked out well. I like your agreeing with it, and so your SIG statement was fun. Where I had a little bit of, I think you could have been a little tighter in your presentation of your emotions, was when you got to empathy. Here you said the film made me feel empathy. And here you had sort of a fairly long plot summary of telling us about how one was raised by wolves and moved around a lot and so forth. And then you segued into the fact that you moved around a lot, in fact, 5 countries. And then you came here for the university. And you said that helped you understand. You hated it, but you had to. Your parents would say, "We're moving, baby," and you had no choice but to move. That was a good story, but what I lost in the story was the empathy feeling. I wanted you to.
Like a particular incident.
What?
It's like a particular incident.
What I wanted you to say was, and in all those feelings that I had every time I had to move, I could feel empathy for the way the character in this story had to move, and I felt empathy for anyone in the world that has to go away to boarding school or go away and move a lot. I feel a lot of empathy for them. I have that empathy, and develop your empathy. And folks, come back to the emotion you're communicating at the end of your section. And so then you would want to say, but besides empathy, the second way this film moved me was it made me feel warmth. Right? And here, again, a little bit of a long plot summary. It could have been shortened. But we got the whole idea that someone lost faith in a friendship, but you then segued into a friendship with a friend of yours, Stephanie, whom you met in Geneva, and you still are connect with and text with and are connected to. What I needed right then at that moment is, and I feel a great warmth in having Stephanie as my friend.
Like those concluding lines.
Yeah, I feel a great warmth in knowing her, knowing that I have that friend. Much the way that my best friend, I was best friend at his wedding. We're still best friends. We've been best friends since high school. You know, that sort of thing. And I just feel a great warmth toward him. Elaborate on the feeling that you feel toward Stephanie, and that would have been a little bit more effective. And you said, made me thankful that I have that in my life, but you didn't say have what? I have warmth. See, you kind of got away a little bit from the emotion. I have that, I have warmth. Yeah. On the third emotion, nostalgia, kind of a tricky emotion to communicate. Again, a bit of a long plot summary, but okay. And here you talked about going to live in Switzerland and having wanted to go to a Swiss summer camp of rock climbing, and you didn't know French. So you had to sort of do pig Latin and hand gestures and other things to communicate. But it worked. And now you look back and say, I would never have the courage to get out of my comfort zone. That's kind of sad. And so you said, I'm nostalgic for those old days when I just innocently would plunge into things. And again, I would like you to have talked about the feeling of nostalgia of what you're feeling, of what you've lost in growing up and becoming sophisticated. You know, E. Cummings the poet wrote, and down they forgot as up they grew. And I think that's kind of what happened to a lot of children. You know, they forget their innocence and everything as they grow up. You skipped your summary. You went right to, there should be no doubt in this room, and I wanted to hear the three emotions said again. Okay? And you had a good tie back. You're very fluent, let me end on a positive, and you're a very likable speaker. I believe you. I trust you. Just work on stronger communication of your emotions by focusing on them, reliving them, sensing them, and then we will feel them too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that will bring us to Alyssa.
Do you have a stapler?
I do. A green one. What do you think of that?
Oh, that's exciting.
Nice, huh? Yeah. Green. The green meanie. I've come prepared, Alyssa. Alyssa stands before you, hands not behind your back like Napoleon inspecting the troops, but by your side so they can gesture easily. Good. Your sleeves are rolled up. I like that. Okay. She's reading or looking down. Okay. Okay. She's not looking up. She's down writing, so wait for her. Communicating respect non-verbally to everybody in the room. Finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name. Feel the love. Start your speech.
Hello, my name is Alyssa.
Hi, Alyssa.
Hi, and today I want to tell you about a film that really inspired me. So, I've never been the type of person who is really into romantic comedies. I think that they're really cheesy, I think that they're unrealistic, and I just have never really been able to resonate with them. With that being said, today I'm going to talk with you about one of the sweetest, most adorable, just disgustingly lovable movie that I've ever seen in my whole life, and how it melted even my iciest of hearts. So today I would like to talk with you about a movie called The Holiday, directed by Nancy Meyers. It made me laugh, it made me cry, and it made me feel really inspired. So I know that there are a lot of themes that you guys will be able to resonate with, just as I did. Like Manohla Dargis of New York Times said, I think that she said it really well when she said that the men and women of a Nancy Meyers film don't just fall in love. They talk about falling in love, about falling out of love, about needing, fearing, and surrendering to love. And I think that that really fully encompasses the entire movie, because I think that it's more than just a cheesy love story. I think that it really has a lot more substance beyond that. So, the first way that this movie made me feel was that it made me laugh. So, in the movie, Kate Winslet and Jack Black's characters, they have a really good friendship, and over this holiday, they watch a lot of movies. And so, they have a scene where they go to their local video store, which dates this movie quite a bit. I don't even know if they have video stores anymore. But so they go to this video store, and Jack Black starts singing these songs from the famous movies from their soundtracks, and Kate Winslet has to kind of guess what movie he's talking about. And this reminded me of my relationship with my brother, because my brother, he's my best friend, he's my older brother, and we always play this game where he'll say different quotes from movies, and we'll kind of like have to like guess what movie it's from or what show it's from. And I loved how genuine that connection felt, and I loved how genuine that portrayal of friendship felt to me, because it really did remind me of my brother, and it made me laugh. The second way that this film made me feel was that it made me cry a lot. And I'm not the type of person to cry at movies, but so Cameron Diaz's character in this film, as kind of a subplot, she talks about the fact that her parents, when she was younger, got a divorce, and ever since then she's had a really hard time coming to terms with her emotions, and she hasn't been able to actually cry since she was 15. And so this reminded me of when my uncle died in a motorcycle accident when I was younger. I couldn't cry for the longest time, and I had such a difficult time coming to terms with that. And I felt like I had to be strong, and that I really couldn't, be in touch with my emotions, because it would make me a weak person for my family. And so in that, I felt like it was also very genuine, which was really important to me, that I could kind of follow Cameron Diaz's character on her journey to finding that emotional stability, and I really connected with that, and I appreciated that a lot. So the last way that this film made me feel was that it made me feel really inspired. So Kate Winslet's character, she actually goes on holiday to kind of escape her unlucky in love situation, to escape this guy who she's been in love with for years, and she's trying to fall out of love with him. And he follows her to LA, and he says that he wants her back, but he's still actually engaged to a woman back at home. But he's coming to her, like, asking for her forgiveness when he hasn't even, like, broken up with this other woman. And so she is kind of, at this point, really done with his nonsense. And she goes into this wonderful monologue and this, like, glorious speech about how she deserves better, and that it was just so empowering for her to be able to get over him. And so this really inspired me, because I feel like so many times in my life I have allowed my happiness to be dictated by other people. And so it reminded me of how in high school I was friends with this girl who was really not a very positive presence in my life. She was mean to me, and she bullied me forever. And so this movie actually really inspired me to create my own rendition of this speech and really stand up to her, and albeit it probably wasn't as amazingly written as Kate Winslet's speech, I really felt inspired to take control of my own life again and take control of my own happiness. So, in summary, this movie made me laugh, it made me cry a lot, and it really inspired me. And there should be no doubt in this room that The Holiday was a movie that really impacted my life. So, even if you're not necessarily a fan of romantic comedies, I really highly recommend this film. I think it's great, and I think that everyone can learn something from it. I know I've learned so much in my life about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. 5:29.
Sorry, I'm sick. I'm Olivia.
Hi, Olivia.
And I thought you sort of laid out your points of where you were going very well. I knew exactly, I could map it out, and I could see where you were going with each bit. And I also thought that you established emotional connection very well, because you maintained a casual tone that was also concise, especially when you were talking about your personal stories, and I thought that was very effective.
Thank you, Olivia. Improvement?
Hi, I'm Jessica.
Hi, Jessica.
I really liked your speech, and also that's like one of my favorite movies. I just watched it last week. But I think that you could have given less plot summary. Like, you could have summed it up, given less detail about the scenes, because we don't really need to know all the little details, and then it would have made your speech slightly more concise.
Yeah, you wouldn't have gone overtime. Yeah. Yes. Alyssa. Like your introduction a lot. I thought it was, you started off with a personal story that was honest. You were sort of leveling with the audience and said, you know, I hate romantic comedies, and they're cheesy, they're stupid, but one got me. You know, there was one years ago named Love Story that everyone flipped over, even people that hated romantic comedies. And same with the Titanic, I guess. So yes, and you had a good segue into your thesis statement about the holiday, and you were going to share 3 emotions with us: laugh, cry, and be inspired. So those were the 3 emotions that I was looking to see. Your significant statement was excellent. It was one of the best extractions I've seen of a quote that didn't just sort of say the movie sucked or the movie was good, but it told more of a story of what was so good about the movie and what was happening with the characters, and helped you not have to tell the plot, because it gave us an idea of the emotional layers that were happening in this movie. So that was really good. Let's go to your main body and laugh. Again, quite a bit of plot summary there. We could have shortened up. They watched videos and talked, played, guessed famous songs or movie tracks. And then you could have had a little more time, which I think needed it on this one. So I needed to see you really go back and remember playing the game with, was it with your brother?
Yeah.
And really remembering even giving us a line, my brother would say, you know, give us a little sample of it, and remember, get a big smile on your face so we really see and remember the laugh and the happiness that you felt in playing with your brother. So we see you feel it, we'll feel it. Okay? On the second one, and then you want to transition with, besides laugh, it made me cry. So let your narrative run like that. See? Good voice telling it, too. Cameron Diaz, yes. A little bit of long plot summary. Yes. It made me cry, and cry a lot. And we needed to have you almost tear up at this point. And my theory about when people hold emotions in and then they suddenly burst out, is my theory has to do with when people hold emotions in, it's like a snake in a basket. You can push a snake down in a basket, but you never know when it's going to pop up and freak out at you. It's the same with emotions. You know, you apparently pushed your emotions down about your uncle, was it, that godfather that died in a motorcycle accident, but then this movie gave you an opportunity to release your emotions and reminded you of that. So I needed to have you sense that a little bit more, so we feel it a little bit more and return to that. You said that tragic and awful event, and that's why I cried so much, and that's why I was sad. See? Yes. On your third emotion, inspired. Yeah, we didn't need all the ins and outs of Kate Winslet, but just say she was in a complicated relationship. Did really like the story of you being in a bad relationship with someone bullying you, and you having the finally the courage to stand up and say, you know, get out of my life, leave me alone, toxic people are not good to have in your life. And that was good. And then again, repeat the emotion. And that inspired me to stand up for myself even more and more. See? So we get that feeling of inspiration that should have come out of you a little bit more. See? Yeah. Summary was good. Conclusion was good. Tieback was good. Good speech, just a tad long. And the movement left, right, back to center. Okay, like that. So 3-5-3 is the optimal move. But overall, really good job. Thank you. Okay, that'll bring us to Claire. Hi, Claire.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good.
Excellent. She has her review on top. Okay, good. Okay, let me adjust the camera. You're a little taller. Do not cross in front. Don't go in front of that green box. And we'll all live happily ever after. Okay. Claire is managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name. Feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi, I'm Claire.
Hi, Claire.
So I went to a really weird high school. There were only 200 of us on the days that everyone showed up, and we took a very kind of liberal experimental approach to education. As such, my senior year theology class consisted of watching movies and trying to relate it back to the kind of broad themes that the school's like central tenets were based around. Our theology teacher's name was just PL, that's what we called him. He was also the DJ at our formals and proms. And while his music choice was questionable, his taste in films was impeccable. And so today I want to tell you about one of those movies that we watched. It was Good Will Hunting, and it made me feel frustrated, enlightened, and inspired. So Jim Morgenstern of the Wall Street Journal calls the main character of Good Will Hunting, whose name is Will Hunting, a bizarre bundle of contradictions. And I think that that really resonated with me, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. The best thing about this film is that even if you can't relate to being from the wrong side of Boston or being a mathematical genius, there's so many complications in the main character that there's kind of something for everyone, and that's part of the way it made me feel, the 3 different ways that I've described. So the first way the film made me feel was frustrated, and the scene in particular was Will is having a conversation with his best friend Chucky, and Will has just broken up with his girlfriend and blown off some job interviews, and Chucky's kind of at the end of his rope because they're working construction jobs, they're, blue-collar men, and Chucky's looking at a dead end and Will could get out of it. That frustration evident in that scene really resonated with me and reminded me of a conversation I had with one of my best friends from my hometown at the end of last year. She had transferred to community college from Oregon and was thinking about dropping out of school altogether. And she was one of the smartest kids growing up. She always had like a myriad of interests, and I think that's kind of why she's jumped from place to place. But I was in Chucky's position of kind of having to be really strict with her. Chucky tells Will that he'll kill him. I didn't go quite that far. But I was basically like, you have to go back to school and you have to kind of achieve your potential. The second way this film made me feel was enlightened. Will, the main character, has a very special relationship with his therapist. His name is Sean. And at one point, he's describing a relationship with his girlfriend, and he hasn't called her because he's afraid to find out that she's not perfect. And Sean calls him out and says that he's afraid to find out he's not perfect. We were watching this my senior year of high school, and I think it was really relatable to kind of have that bubble burst of perfection is not attainable. You're trying to check all the boxes on the Common app. I was on a basketball team that I hated the coach on, didn't have hand-eye coordination, but was on it anyways. You're kind of exhausting yourself trying to present yourself as being perfect. And people don't really tell you that that's not possible. They just kind of like try to motivate you to achieve it. And so watching that movie in our final year of high school, I was kind of like taken aback and also really enlightened by the idea that it's okay that it's not possible to be perfect. The third way that this film made me feel was inspired, but maybe not in the way that you would think. I can't really relate to being a mathematical genius. You can ask my AP Calculus teacher. It didn't really go very well. But one thing that I really was inspired by in this film and that I related to was the actual writing. All of the scenes that I've described, they made me feel really specific ways, and I think that that was really powerful. And so aside from the actual plot, the way that they had like lightning fast conversations, the wit and the emotion, the backstories of these really complicated characters, that's kind of the part that resonated with me, that someone made that. And so this film kind of inspired me to be a creative writer and to try to create a product that resonated with people. And that's why I'm currently trying to be a writer. So in summary, this film, Good Will Hunting, made me feel frustrated. It also enlightened me, and it really inspired me. I watched it for the first time when I was 18, and every time I watch it, it kind of inspires me in different ways, but those three emotions are always consistent. You're probably wondering, and I still am too, why we watched this in a high school religion class. But I think that PL wanted us to learn something, and if this film proves anything, it's that there's a lot to be learned outside of just studying and reading, and that was kind of, I think, what he was trying to get across.
Thank you. Thanks, 17. Over here.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I really enjoyed it.
Hi, Sarah.
You're a very easy speaker. You're really easy to listen to, and I felt like you were comfortable there, which made me feel comfortable as an audience. I really enjoyed your selection of anecdotes. I especially enjoyed the last one. I know the feeling you're describing of, seeing something and feeling like you want to make that, and I think you did a really good job transmitting that emotion because it's difficult to do.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Alyssa.
Hi, Alyssa.
So I also really enjoyed your speech. I felt like I could relate to a lot of those feelings too. I would say, like, similarly to like what I did, I put in a lot of plot summary, and I think like seeing it from the outside, like I understand now that you don't need as much, even though you think you do. So I would just say work on that too, because that's something I also have to do.
Okay, yeah. That's a good point. Stay in the power stance. Yeah, thank you. Well, gosh, you chose a great movie. I prefer you not print on two-sided, but one-sided if you don't mind. And for the future. And this was their first time attempted at a screenplay, and they pulled it off magnificently, and it should be an inspiration to all of us. I think I shared with the class that I wrote a screenplay. It never occurred to me that I couldn't. I thought, I have a story to tell, and I wrote it, and it got made into a movie. Many are called, but few are chosen. I was very lucky. But the key is you see something, you go, I can do that. I can do that. And it's just, no, you have to go 4 years to USC film school to do that. Bullshit. You don't. You just write, and if you have a story that you can tell it. So, let's talk about your stories that you told and how your speech went. You said you went to a weird high school. There were 200 kids that hardly showed up every day, and you had a theology class that really wasn't much of a theology class in a traditional sense, but you showed movies from a fella named P.L., who was also the DJ at the formal and the proms. Okay. But he had great taste in movies, you said. So that was an intriguing and interesting personal story. I think it got us all interested. I think it met the qualifications of a good introduction, which grabbed your audience, drew them in, and makes them want to listen. So that worked. That was pretty good. On your thesis, really moved me, Good Will Hunting. It frustrated, it made me enlightened, and it inspired inspired me. Okay, so those were the three that we were going to be playing with, I guess. Frustration and enlightenment and inspired. Yeah. So, the Morgenstein quote from the Wall Street Journal, my favorite newspaper, is excellent. And you talked about how, as all good art, there's something in there for everybody to grab onto. If you're a genius, you could love it. If you're an idiot, you could love it. If you're struggling, you will love it. If you're a loner, you would love it. You know, there's just a million things. If you're a psychotherapist, you love it. There's just a million things in there to love about this movie, and you point that out. So that you sold it. So that was good. On the main body, though, here we need some work. We talk about frustration, and as your colleague pointed out, we had a little bit of a long plot summary to get to a story about your friend who was bright but who was dropping out of school, went to apparently a community college, no harm in that, and but she was going to drop out of that. What I didn't hear a lot from you is when I heard she was going to drop out, I felt frustrated. I was angry. I went to her. I said, say her name. Sue, was her name Chucky?
The guy in the villain's name is Chucky. Her name is JoJo. I don't think I named
JoJo. Oh, yeah, see, good story is going to take it. And I said to JoJo, JoJo, you're not dropping out. You can't do this. You've got a brain. Don't waste it. Don't give up now. And talk and make us feel the frustration you felt. Relive the frustration you felt toward JoJo, so we feel it again. We feel it. You feel it again. We feel it then. So I needed to refill that frustration a little bit more. You just basically posited a frustrating situation and let us infer it was frustrating to you instead of re-feeling it, see? On the second way, the film made me feel enlightened. Again, a lot of plot summary, but here you talked about the idea of being on the basketball team and lacking hand-eye coordination, a really tough combination. And yet you sort of got the insight that perfection is crazy and not to be attained except by Jesus, I guess. And, we just move along and do the best we can. And get hit by a brick, we keep it going. But this perfection thing can be really crazy if it gets the best of you. So I think you made a good point in being enlightened, but I would like to have again felt that emotion of the light going on and how so much you were enlightened. It's kind of a tricky emotion to communicate. I like your humor on your third emotion, being inspired. I like the joke. My AP calculus teacher will tell you I was no picnic. That was funny. I like that. So, and I want you to return to be inspired at the end. And you said, I looked at this and I said, I want to write this kind of quick-witted, spirited, wonderful dialogue, and I was inspired to do that. That was good, and something to follow up, and I've done a little writing, I've done something, I worked for the Daily Bureau, something more. I've gone ahead and done a little something because of it. This is how my inspiration has taken me somewhere, would have sealed the deal for us. But let us feel your inspiration and feel what it means, how you act out your inspiration. Okay? Your summary was good. Your conclusion was good. And your tie back to your high school religion class was excellent. Your canais. Speak clearly and measurably. Don't forget the Wall Street Journal quote. Make consistent, comfortable eye contact with the audience. How to go. Keep your hands by your side. Yeah, let them
The
gesture nicely.
First one I think went well. For some reason, the last time I gave a speech, my voice like gave out at the end, so I was trying not to do that.
Okay, good.
I think I was just more relaxed. I'm pretty sure I remembered the quote.
Yes, you
That was
did.
my main stress. And I think I still was kind of flitting around too much in terms of making eye contact,
Okay.
but in terms of moving and maintaining it, I think I did.
Okay,
slightly
well,
better.
let's practice a little bit. Let's start here. Let's come over here and tell us about your morning. And I'll pound when it's been 5 seconds. And let's move to each of the 3 women in the front row.
So this morning, I tried to wake up at 8:30. That didn't work, so I woke up at 9:15 instead. I tried to make tea, but my kettle's broken, so I boiled water on the stove like someone from the 19th century. And then I started to try and do homework. I was a little bit distracted because Taylor Swift's Vogue article came out today.
Okay. Did you feel how 5 seconds is a little bit longer
Yeah.
than you're giving? And that's what you want to try to do. And when you're working this side of the room, glance over there at Insia and draw her back in, even though you're working this side of the room. See? Okay. Good job. Thank you. Okay, that will bring us to Alyssa.
I just
Oh, sorry. Bring us to Kelsey. Kelsey Grammer. Hi, Kelsey.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. I also didn't print out the film review, but I can.
What a tragedy. We'll bring it in next time.
Yeah.
Always remember to print out your film review, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, Kelsey, let me get you in focus. Okay, no hands behind the back. Yeah, free with your arms. Yeah, let them shake out all that tension. Good. Kelsey stands before you, managing attention, communicating respect, saying to yourself non-verbally and really meaning it. I respect my audience. Finding friendly eyes near the front of the center. Say your name, feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi, I'm Kelsey, and
Hi, Kelsey.
today I'm going to share with you a film that I wholeheartedly relate to. It begins with a pitch black screen and a white quote flashes in the center, originally spoken by David Bowie, and it says, "And these children that you spit on as they try to change their worlds are immune to your consultations. They're quite aware of what they're going through." And to me, this quote perfectly reflects the film I'm about to tell you about because it gives some insight into the young adult experience of trying to navigate our world while defining who we are among a sea of adults trying to tell us who to be. So today I'm going to tell you how the film The Breakfast Club resonated with me. It made me feel hopeful, it made me feel upset, and it made me question who I am as a person. Richard Corliss of Time magazine noted that the creators of this film know how the ordinary teenagers, the ones who don't get movies made about them, think and feel. And I think that very accurately depicts this film because it gives a true relatability and insight into the thoughts and feelings of ordinary people, which made it so moving to me. So the first way that this film moved me is that it made me feel hopeful, and that happened when a dance party broke out among the 5 very different students stuck in detention together. So after hours of arguments and misunderstandings and insults between them, they shared an emotional experience that really created a bond between them, and that bond manifested in them playing this 80s pop song and dancing around the library together and really becoming friends. And this instilled in me the sense of hope that I got when I first came to UCLA. So initially I was really overwhelmed by the diversity of cultures and backgrounds here, and it made me feel like if I didn't find anyone just like me, I wasn't going to make any friends. And then I came to realize that that is completely wrong, and the best friends that I've made here come from completely different upbringings than me. So that experience, just like the dancing scene in the Breakfast Club, instilled in me the sense of hope that even the most seemingly different strangers can develop a bond and become friends rather than being at odds with one another. So that's how this film instilled hope in me, but it also made me upset. And that happened when one of the main characters, Brian, revealed that he attempted suicide because he wasn't living up to his parents' expectations. They were putting so much pressure on him academically that he actually did not want to live anymore once he received a B. And this made me extremely upset because it brought me back to a time in my life where I watched my best friend Maya, who's basically my sister, go through the same thing. When we entered high school, her parents started putting this insane amount of pressure on her, and she tried and tried and tried, and no matter how much she maintained her academic and athletic excellence, it was never enough for them. And I watched her stress level rise and her confidence level fall. And it made me really upset and frustrated that such a strict demand for perfection could be placed on one person. I watched it crush her spirit just like it crushed Brian's spirit in the movie. And it really made me upset to see because it only hurt them more than it helped them. And that is why Brian's monologue led me to actually cry at this movie. So after the tears, this movie moved me in that it made me question who I am as a person. And that happened when the teacher running detention came in with an essay prompt for the members of the Breakfast Club. And the prompt was, "Tell me who you are." And the members of the Breakfast Club responded by saying, "We think you're crazy for making us write an essay telling you who we are. You're going to think of us how you want to think of us." And this brought me back to a time where I was given the same exact prompt when I was applying for college. All of a sudden, I was faced with the task of telling these complete strangers across the country who I was in less than 500 words. And while that was a very frustrating and daunting task, it was a good one because it made me take an introspective look at myself and try to find out what makes me the person I am today. And the Breakfast Club, just like the college application process, raised that question, who are you? And made me take that same look at myself and realize what a difficult but important question that is to consider. So this movie really made me look inside myself. So in summary, I've shown you 3 ways that the Breakfast Club really moved me. It made me feel hopeful, upset, and introspective. There shouldn't be a doubt in this room that this movie really had an impact on me. And what most made an impact on me was the really accurate insight to the young adult experience. Just as David Bowie pointed out at the beginning of the film, we as young adults are very aware of what we're going through, who we are, and who we will become. Thank you.
514.
Hello, my name is Brittany.
Hi, Brittany.
I just want to say you had a really good speech. I think all of the emotions that you conveyed to us, to me specifically, is that I really felt that. So your personal stories I could relate to, and I think that was a really good job. You moved so naturally as well, so I like that. It wasn't distracting. Good job.
Thank you, Brittany. Turma?
I'm Grace.
Hi, Grace.
I also loved your speech. It was the personal stories were awesome and perfectly connected into your well-structured speech. The only thing is maybe you could have had a more connection in your summary to that original David Bowie quote, because it was like an awesome quote. So I would have liked to hear more about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was an interesting quote. Really, really a grabber and kind of really harsh in a way, but appropriate for the Breakfast Club. I liked your speech, Kelsey. It was very vivid, and you made it vivid, and so that was good. And so you grabbed your audience, so you did what you're supposed to do in the beginning. I thought that I want you to work on being a little more emphatic in your style of delivery, and get it. And I think it almost was like you were a little bit overlearned the speech a little too much and lost a little bit of its freshness and emotion, so be careful of that. Say it differently each time, so it's fresh and new and good each time. So you did The Breakfast Club, an excellent, really excellent movie. And you told us it made you feel hopeful, upset, and question who you are, okay? And then you quoted Richard Corliss and told us that this movie is a decoder for a group of people that usually don't get a lot of celluloid time, and I think that's true. So that was good. You said, I couldn't agree more, and that's what made it so moving to me. What you want to remember to do is you're selling it to them, and you should say, and I think it would be moving to you. See, remember, you're selling it. Remember, significant is significant to them. Yeah. Okay? On the main body, okay? Here we're trying to communicate the emotion of hopeful, okay? And in this first story, you related the plot summary of them dancing to an 80s song. And then you segued and said this reminded you of coming to UCLA, and you were alone, and you felt kind of out of place, and you didn't find anybody that was sort of like you, and so you were sort of feeling alone and out of it. But then you got over that and made friends with people from different backgrounds and upbringing, and then different religions and so forth, and you returned to the hopefulness. What I didn't get, and I wish you would emphasize more, is in that story is, and that's why I felt more hopeful, is reliving the hopefulness. Is you felt hopeless, and then you got feeling hopeful when you got over it, see? So communicate the hopelessness and then the hopefulness, and feel that transition. Re-feel it so we feel it too, see? On the second way, you were going to communicate that you were upset. And a fella in the movie, Brian, wanted to commit suicide because his parents put heavy pressure on him. You talked about your best friend of 15 years, almost your sister, give her a name, Susie or whatever, you don't have to use a real name, but stories demand details, and they make it real. And her parents, and you watched her, and you got crazy and crazy. What you needed to do as you chronicled this is you're communicating you're upset. So you're saying, as they put more pressure on, I was getting more upset and more upset and more frustrated and more frustrated and more worried and more worried. And you had a part of you said, I cried when, when all of this was happening, but you didn't get to that, see? You didn't communicate that. You didn't come to that. You didn't come to that communication. And that's how you communicate. You remember that frustration and crying with your friend Susie at how hard her parents were being on her, making her, I'm making this up now, anorexic, making her crazy, etc. And that's why I felt so frustrated. Okay. On the third one, who I am, yeah. So the prompt was, tell us who you are, and you segued into your college essays, which was interesting. And this is where you said you had to be introspective and learn about yourself. That was good. You said you learned who you were. It would have been interesting for you to share a little bit of that rather than to leave it just general. I learned who I was.
Yeah.
Okay? Your summary was good. Conclusion was perfect. And your tie back to Bowie, yeah, you were at 5:14, so you didn't have a lot of time to play around with the tie back. But yeah, you could have done some creative stuff with this. Especially, I thought the most killing part of that was, and those children that you spit on. I thought that was the most vivid part of that quote, and I would say I would have gone back to, and so when you are tempted to spit on the current generation that may not look or act like you think they should, just remember the Breakfast Club, say something like that. Overall, Kelsey, you did a good job. Work on transmitting your emotions a little bit more effectively as I outlined for you. Let's go over your canais. You wanted to project more emotion with your voice. Smoother transitions between points and comfortably walking around the room. How'd it go? Don't sit on the side of your heels. Okay. How'd it go?
I feel like the emotion was probably lost because I got nervous. So. The second one, transitions. I don't remember. I think I felt better about them. Like, it didn't feel as choppy.
There's no that's good, yeah.
And walking, I felt better because the first speech I didn't walk at all.
Yeah. So, nice job. Just do more of that felt sensing of remembering, re-feel the emotion, we'll feel it too. Okay? Thank you very much, Kelsey. Okay. Well, who's next? Let's see, that was Kelsey. Kelsey Grammer. Kelsey Maines. Kelsey Maines. Okay. Stefan. Okay, the bad news is I'm going to have to change the battery, so while you stand up here, bond with your audience, ask them how their weekend was, did they party, that sort of thing. Yeah. Talk to them, yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Was you up for lunch on Saturday?